Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture. Very pleased to say I'm joined now by the youngest and fastest rising star in professional wrestling, MJF. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us today.
Thank you so much for having me, buddy. And let me tell you, there's been a lot of smooth-brained losers that have tried their best to give me a solid intro, and that might have been the best. So I'm very proud of you. You should be very proud of yourself, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, of course, you are facing Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship this Saturday at All Out. First of all, I see the neck brace. How are you feeling ahead of AEW All Out and, of course, Dynamite this week as well?
Adam, respectfully, from here on out, if you're going to say his name, it's Dictator Jon. From here on out in the interview, please. That's one. Two, the reason I refer to him as that is because he's Genghis Khan-esque. Look what he did to me. It's despicable. It's disgusting. It's wrong. And how do I feel? I'm in pain. I'm in pain every day. I'm in pain every time I roll out of bed. I'm in pain every time I sit down. I'm in pain every time I stand up. And that's all because of Dictator Jon's disgusting actions. And am I aware, though, that I'm such a good professional wrestler that once that bell rings, it's not going to matter? Absolutely. I have this match in the bag. Are the fans aware of that? No, they're not, because you have been tricked into believing that Jon Moxley is good at his job. He's not good at his job, Adam. What he's good at is brutalizing people. He's a backlot brawler. He's no different than a goon in hockey. There's no skills there with the puck and with the stick. All he's good at is beating people down and using stairs, chairs, guardrail. I mean, look, I'm not trying to get on a rant here, Adam. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to keep this professional. But every time somebody mentions his name, I just want to bite someone's face off.
So you mentioned Dictator Jon, as you call him. You've got these hashtags, not my champion, MJF 2020. You had your State of the Industry address, of course, a while back. What is your central issue with him as world champion? Is it just the perception of AEW with him at 100%. The helm?
Adam, 100%. So here's my big issue. A world champion is supposed to be a spokesperson and a figurehead for your company. Can you put Jon Moxley on a late night talk show? Can you put Jon Moxley in a commercial without scaring little children? Can you put him on billboards, posters? No, you can't. That's not somebody who you want representing your company, okay? You want a guy like me representing your company, a businessman, someone who knows what they're talking about, somebody who comes across great on camera, someone who's very attractive. That's one. Two, one of my biggest issues, Adam, is because of the fact that he's a world champion, naturally, younger people in my company, in my great company that is AEW, they want to copy him. Because in their head, Adam, they go, oh, he's the world champion. So if I just copy him and do this car crash style, murder myself every night, flip-flop and fly, beat people with chairs and stairs and guardrails, I can be a champion too. None of that's wrestling, Adam. And unfortunately, people are forgetting that it's AEW wrestling. That's what's on the docket. Not AEW deathmatch, not AEW backlot brawl, not AEW gymnastics. It's the W is for wrestling. It's for wrestling. And that's what I want to bring back. That's my massive problem with Dictator Jon is he's setting a bad example for the younger generation of wrestlers and for the fans because he's forced you into believing that that is what pro wrestling is, and it's not.
I can only imagine your reaction then when you saw him #1 on the PWI 500 last week.
It was disgusting. It was absolutely horrid to the point where I got on the phone and I didn't want to get legal involved because that's not the kind of guy I am. I'm not a shyster. I just wanted to have a professional conversation with the head of PWI. I believe the man's name is Kevin. I can't quite remember. But I called him up. I said, what are you doing? This is the issue. This is what I'm trying to fix. You plot this guy as #1 on the magazine. Every single kid on the indies and every single younger guy that's in my company now go, oh, in order to be #1, I have to bleed everywhere and I have to make people bleed everywhere. That's not the example we want to set for future generations, Adam. And that's why I'm here.
Moxley, of course, Dictator Jon, apologies, is facing your lawyer, Mark Sterling, on Dynamite this week. I've seen you feeling relatively confident about this match on social media.
So that's what, again, people don't understand. As long as you keep Jon Moxley in the middle of the ring, he's a lost puppy. He doesn't know where he is. I was able to take Mark Sterling this whole week, bad neck and all, and I have been training Mark. And I believe within a week's time of me training him, of him being trained by one of the fastest rising stars in the history of the business, not only is he a better wrestler than Jonathan, he's probably a better wrestler than most of the guys on our roster. Not that that's saying much when you look at guys like Marco's Stunted Growth and Jelly Janela, but still, it's the truth.
Of course, the paradigm shift will be banned for your match at All Out. Are you
Thank God.
concerned for Mark's well-being in this match on Wednesday?
It's not that I'm concerned for his well-being because I don't wrestle like that. I'm not cheap. I don't cheat. I've never cheated in my life. Matter of fact, a lot of people, they'll stop me in the street. They go, MJF, the fact that you were able to wrestle the way you do so professionally, so clean, smack dab in the middle of the ring, it's truly awe-inspiring. And to that I say, I know. However, I will say this. The only reason why I might be worried for Jon, not for his health necessarily, but for his credibility, I think Jon's going to be thrown into deep waters he's never had to swim in before. Because a lot of people play into his game, as I discussed at the contract signing. A lot of people, they go into it. If Jon slides out of the ring, they follow him. They follow him like an idiot. If they get thrown out of the ring, they don't immediately try to get back in because that's his territory. He's Terry Funk-esque. He's Mick Foley-esque, dare I say. And both those guys, legendary Hall of Fame wrestlers, incredible wrestlers. But the only difference between Jon and those guys is once those guys got back into the ring, they knew a thing or two. I'm going to show you that Jon doesn't know as much as you think he does.
You say he's Terry Funk-esque, he's Mick Foley-esque. What would you say your style is?
I would say my style falls under the Nick Bockwinkel's and the Ric Flairs and the Buddy Rogers. I'm very keen on finding a body part and attacking it. I will find your weakness and I will use precision and my in-ring IQ to attack that weakness. Whether I notice you have a weak wrist or a weak ankle or a bum knee, I'm going to figure it out. And once I do figure it out, it's over.
So you're challenging for the AWL Championship, as I said, on Saturday. Also at All Out, there is, of course, the Casino Battle Royal. Is there any people you're looking out for in that to be the potential number one contender for what could be your title?
I don't think anyone that I have to be nearly nervous about. There are certain contenders that do intrigue me. Ricky Starks, I believe. Is he in that Battle Royal?
I believe so, yes.
He's very intriguing to me. Brian Cage for very obvious reasons. But once again, there's a weakness there, his arm. We all saw it. But Lance Archer, tremendous athlete, but I've been studying his tapes on Dark, and I studied his match against my former mentor and Cody Rhodes, poor guy. And, I've noticed his weaknesses there. That's what I do. I study. So whenever I get in the ring with anybody, I'm more prepared than anybody else possibly ever could be in my matches.
You alluded to Cody there. He recently lost the TNT Championship to Brody Lee. Your reaction to how that went down?
No comment.
Fair enough. You've been compared to some of the best promos in the business, the likes of Ric Flair, The Rock, for example. How do you react to those comparisons, and what is it that makes you so watchable?
I think how I react is mission accomplished. For me, growing up, I got my hands on a video of a guy by the name of Roddy Piper, who is by far one of my favorites of all time. And he was just chewing gum, and he had his feet up on a desk, and his boss was sitting to his right, and he couldn't have given one credible shit. He did not care. All he cared about was sucking you in, grabbing you by the face, and pulling you into the screen. That's what I do every single time I'm on the screen. I'm just going to throw out some statistics for you because there are a lot of trolls on the internet, and I do love that. I love when people compare me to 7 different people because the comparisons have gotten crazier and crazier since I started. First, I was getting compared to EC3, surpassed that. Then I was getting compared to The Miz, surpassed that. Now I'm getting compared to Randy Orton, who I grew up watching and idolizing, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Randy Orton's the best heel, not MJF, or MJF's the best heel, not Randy Orton, or MJF reminds me of Randy Orton, but he's not as good as Ric Flair. Just craziness. And it's going to keep elevating and keep going crazier and crazier. And based on the conversations I've had with a lot of the veterans in the back at AEW who were successful, the same thing happened to them. Being compared to these people, it's not a jab at me. I consider it a blessing and a godsend. It means I'm doing my job. I love the fact that there's the 4 top ratings draws in AEW. Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Cody Rhodes, and MJF. And only one of them's only been on national television for 1 year. So take that as you'd like to take that.
One of the things I had fans asking me to ask you regarding promos is your favorite promos over the past few years that you've got. Personal favorite of mine has to be the one from Fyter Fest a year or so ago. Yeah. But what's your personal favorite?
I think my personal favorite had to be the campaign for me, the podium speech. A lot of people, again, comparisons, they were comparing it to the mic drop, or they were comparing it to like an Austin 316 level promo, which to me was so intriguing because I was just going out there to tell the God's honest truth, my God's honest truth. But as I've noticed, that's where those ratings come in, because people tune in to see what I have to say because they know I don't have a filter. I don't own one, Adam. I never have. I never will, because nobody can ever walk up to me and go, hey, we need you to say this tonight. Hey, blow me. That's not going to happen, Adam. It's just never going to happen. That's one. I'd say the podium speech was huge for me. And two, I'd say the promo I got to cut after I quote unquote turned on Cody Rhodes, which is a joke, but we don't need to get into that. When it was me and Chris Jericho in the ring, I believe that was a moment that solidified me and allowed people to understand, okay, you've been comparing me to Chris Jericho. That was one of the comparisons. Here we are. We're both front and center in the middle of a ring. Oh, not only is MJF standing toe-to-toe bumping microphones with Chris, he's really holding his own here, more than holding his own. So that was a big moment for me as well.
I got some fan questions from Twitter to ask you. Nick Reeder asks, the first thing you'll do after winning the AEW World Championship?
I can tell you I'm not going to go to Chili's like some Dark Order schmuck. I don't get that. It's absolutely lowbrow food. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Love Brody Lee's suits, though. Hell of a suit guy. If anybody can appreciate a suit, it's me. I'm going to say I'd probably go out to my boating club and bring a bunch of the boys onto the yacht ski and just have ourselves a nice lobster dinner, LI style. You ever been to Long Island, Adam?
I've never been to Long Island. What's it like?
I wouldn't let you in. Don't worry about it. It's great. It's the best place in the world.
G asks the favorite match you were in.
I'm going to say two. One being against Cody, because that was the biggest win of my career up to that point. And two being against Jungle Boy. And I'll tell you why. I saw so many people talking about how great Jack Perry was. He's this mythical future world champion freak athlete, right? No one has ever taken him to the limit like I did. And nobody has ever, he'll never top that match he had with me until we have another one. And that's just a fact. And I was so sick and tired of reading on the docket of the interwebs with these Cheeto-fingered fat. Pardon me. I'm a leader, and I'm not trying to speak ill of anybody. I'll bite my tongue. There are a lot of people saying MJF, yeah, he might be the best promo in wrestling, but he can't wrestle. And I would literally, I'd look at my phone and I'd belly laugh. And I understand where it was coming from. It's because you got guys who wrestle every single week on Dynamite. I don't do that. And I'll tell you why in a second. But when I'm not on there wrestling every week, people immediately go, oh, they're hiding something. No. I wrestle when the money's right. I wrestle if there's something for me to obtain that's important to me. Because, guys, I'm doing hunky-dory. I don't need a winner's purse every week. And I'm a special attraction. I'm not somebody that Tony Khan's going to throw on for a match every single week. These tweets, and it would really frustrate me and fluster me because I was like, you guys don't know, do you? And I got so excited, I was foaming out the mouth when Tony Khan called me and he set up the match. And he said, it's going to be you versus Jungle Boy. Here's the winner's purse. It's going to be at the pay-per-view. I said, say no more. It's time for me to prove a point. And that's precisely what I did. I gave Jungle Boy the best match he'll ever have in his career. And I gave the fans a match that will go down as one of the greatest matches in the history of AEW. And people are going to look back at that match 5, 10, 15 years from now, and it's going to be the equivalent to, gosh, I'm trying to, an early Jericho versus Dean Malenko match, or an early Ray versus Eddie match. That's how people are going to be looking at
it. You mentioned Jericho there. He has made issue with the Wednesday Night War. Of course, you sort of alluded to it in the past in terms of this ratings war. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it are this. I'm focused on making AEW Dynamite the best place it could possibly be. That way, no one's talking about the ratings war. The only thing they're talking about are 3 letters. MJF. That's all I'm concerned with. Because if you're talking about MJF, what brand am I on? I'm on AEW. So that's all I'm concerned with.
And AEW is an incredibly exciting brand, of course, right now. Guys transferring from WWE, guys that we've all watched in other promotions or the indies and really getting showcased. if you could bring someone into AEW to work with, to have matches against, or to be part of your entourage, who would you like to see in there in the future?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I'd like to see my old Dynasty brothers from Major League Wrestling in Alexander Hammerstone and Richard Holliday have their time to shine. I think they're both tremendous athletes. As far as opponents go, I can't help but say Mance Warner, just because I hate his guts. He's a bumpkin. He's a hick. He's disgusting. I don't like anything about him. I don't like the fact that he's popular. It makes no sense to me. So I would personally fly this man out to an AEW Dynamite just to beat him handedly in 1 or 2 minutes and send him back home packing to the Indies, because I'm so sick of this dude. Have you seen this Mance Warner guy, Adam?
I know of Mance Warner, indeed.
Terrible.
Yes.
Absolutely terrible.
Terrible. You also alluded to the moment where you stood across the ring from Chris Jericho, and that really excited the internet. You've obviously got separate issues, you with Dictator Jon, as you call him, Chris Jericho with Orange Cassidy. Could we see you two coming to blows, or possibly Jericho challenging for the championship that he lost down the line?
There's only really one man that has my complete and utter respect in All Elite Wrestling, and it's Uncle CJ. I like that guy. He's got moxie, he's got a lot of charisma, solid wrestler. Do I think MJF versus Chris Jericho could potentially go down as one of the greatest matches in the history of professional wrestling, with some of the greatest promos in the history of professional wrestling? Absolutely. Could I foresee that happening in the near future if I win the world title? Potentially, if Chris continues his winning ways. And if he beats down on Orange Cassidy, I mean, realistically, it should go down like this. I'm going to be beating Jonathan Moxley. Jericho's going to be beating Orange Cassidy. And then the people would potentially get a fight that they'll be talking about for years and years to come. But we don't know. We cannot predict the future. I will say this. Always respected that guy. And a long time ago, he asked me a question, and I had so much respect for him, I even considered it. He said, do you want to be in the inner circle? Which my response was, I don't know. Do you want me to be in the circle? And we never got closure on that. But again, hell of a talent, really proud of him for all of his success as of late.
You mentioned the sort of factions we've got going on in AEW right now, the inner circle, the Dark Order, the Elite, of course, having their issues. Your opinions on the Elites and on the Dark Order?
There's a lot of lines being drawn in the sand of All Elite Wrestling, and I have been able to make myself a top key player in all of pro wrestling just by it being, little old me. And also, my good friend Wardlow, whatever. And I personally feel that if we continue our winning ways, which we will, I'm undefeated for a reason, there's no need for me to have all these numbers and minions. It's pointless. If there were to come a time, though, where it became abundantly clear to me, Adam, that this isn't a fair fight, I need numbers behind me, I need help. Would I consider it in that moment? Sure. But so far, I really haven't needed much help at all.
You've got a hell of an entourage, like you say. You've got Wardlow, You've got Mark Sterling, you've got a designated gum guy, you've got
Gum guy number 2. Yep.
Is there any role for me in the MJF entourage, perhaps, as an English representative?
So, and I don't want you to take offense to this. Your accent makes me want to puke buckets, and I just don't know if I can have that around me a ton. Again, don't take offense to what I just said. You're a great guy. I'm sure you mean well. It's just your people tend to have wacky, awful teeth and terrible, terrible, terrible accents. And I just don't know if I can put up with that all day, Adam. But again, it's not personal. It really is not personal.
That's absolutely fine. Boy, I always wondered, actually, with your gum guy, is there a designated gum that you go for?
Not something that I could legally discuss here. But yes, we do have it imported from a certain place. And it is the best gum you will ever chew in your entire life.
You alluded to fans as well. Any advice for aspiring wrestlers to follow in the footsteps of your meteoric rise?
Oh, man. If you don't want to have a mediocre rise, definitely don't study Jon Moxley. You should be studying MJF. That's my advice for you.
So to wrap things up here, MJF, how are you feeling ahead of Saturday's pay-per-view?
September 5th, I will be holding Pretty Platinum. It's very obvious. Everybody knows that. I've already given the belt a nickname. It's mine at this point. That's 1. 2, how am I feeling? I already feel gratitude for everyone that told me I could do it along the way. And I also feel sweet, 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 sweet revenge to everyone who told me I couldn't along the way as well.
Well, it is going to be MJF versus Jon Moxley for the AWL.
Dictator Jon, Adam. Try it again. Run it back.
It's going to be MJF versus the man MJF knows as Dictator Jon on Saturday. All Out, AEW World Championship. Make sure you check it out. And, of course, watch Dictator Jon versus Mark Sterling on AEW Dynamite this week. Very quickly, MJF, your prediction?
Obviously, Mark wins, and I don't even know if John's going to make it to the pay-per-view. We'll see what happens, though.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, MJF. Best of luck on Saturday, and thank you for taking time out of the day to chat to WhatCulture Wrestling.